What is up, ladies and gents? It's your boy Jermaine Event, and we are here in the fallout of UFC 315, ladies and gents. Della Maddalena defeats my boy Belal Muhammad. Remember the name, ladies and gents. He defeats my boy Belal Muhammad in what a fight. Right, before the fight happened, right, leading up to this fight, people were saying the UFC is crazy. They don't have stars. They want people to pay for these kind of fights. After the fight, people are saying, oh, this is fight of the year. Fight of the year. That's why I get annoyed when people, put out these narratives. This card sucks before it happens. You say it sucks before it happens. Like, I don't know if the card's gonna suck until after it's over. I don't know if it sucks until after it's over. All the fights could be fight of the year potential. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what we're going to get until we get it, ladies and gents. Until we get it. But Della Maddalena uses great takedown defense, great stand up. All right, his boxing, phenomenal, man. He was putting some combinations on Belal Muhammad that I think would have dropped many other welterweights. All right, Belal took some damage in there that I think would have easily put down a lot of the top 10 at welterweight. Congratulations to Della Maddalena on a great fight. People are out here like, why didn't Belal grapple more? Why didn't he grapple? Because Jack did a great job of defending, putting things out there like the knees, the uppercuts. As you can see here, that uppercut, he kept that out there. He kept even just feinting that, just letting Belal know, like, if he shoots on him, that this is coming. That also doubles when you throw that uppercut as they're coming in, as you're putting in the underhook. You know what I'm saying? You're in perfect position to get that underhook in there and put in perfect defense. And even in the moments when Belal was able to get Jack to the ground, but Jack was able to pop right back up. All right, he was able to reverse positions, get right back to the feet. Jack looks amazing in this one. Immediately after the fight, all right, here we are in the post fight, ladies and gentlemen. Belal does not get a post-fight interview, but his lip was pretty mangled. He was pretty messed up. I would imagine because his lip was cut pretty bad, they didn't want him trying to have a conversation with that thing flopping in many different directions. So no post-fight interview for Belal. But Della Maddalena, all right. They say, oh, well, Islam Makhachev has already tweeted saying it's time for him to become two-division champ. And Della Maddalena says he's ready to get that one back for Alexander Volkanovski, ladies and gents. He's ready to beat Islam Makhachev for Alexander Volkanovski. And, more power to him. I think right now there's a lot of hype. I think Jack versus Islam on paper right now, just because Jack is bigger, he's got this heavy power, he was able to shut down the grappling of Belal. Right now, that seems like a much more interesting fight than Islam fighting Ilya, who's much smaller than Jack, much smaller than Islam, and he's coming up from a lower weight class. He's coming up from 145, and now we got Islam, who's gonna move up to 170 from 155 and fight this monster with the boxing, Della Maddalena, who says Belal does not have Canelo hands, unfortunately. All right, in a potential fight with Islam versus Jack here, which is crazy that could somehow be the next fight, right? I think I'm the only one that really has this opinion that it's crazy that Islam can jump the line at welterweight, right? Before I get into a prediction about who would win that fight, but before this fight, right? I think in most people's opinions, I did see some people were siding with Jack, but a lot of people thought the grappling, the wrestling was going to be too much for Jack Della, as we've seen him struggle with the grappling in previous fights. We all thought that was a lot of people thought that was going to be too much for Jack, and that after this fight, Belal, after this, foregone conclusion that Belal was going to defend here, that he was going to fight either Shavkat, Ian Machado, Sean Brady, or Joaquin Buckley if he defeats Kamaru Usman here. Maybe even Kamaru Usman if he defeats Buckley, because I think even still people would love to see Kamaru Usman versus Belal Muhammad. These guys have been pretty hype having their beef recently, but never mind all those guys, right? The 4 to 5 guys that I just named there, never mind them, because Islam Makhachev is going to skip that line. He's going to skip that line without even ever beating a top contender at welterweight to prove that he deserves to fight for the belt at 170, which is exactly what he said Ilya needs to do. He said he's not going to fight Ilya because Ilya should have to fight and beat a top lightweight to prove that he deserves the belt. So now he's like, fuck it, I'm going up to 170 and I'm not going to beat a top welterweight to prove that I deserve it. I just should just do it because I'm the champion. And they're going to let him do it. They're going to let him do it. And if they do let him do it, ladies and gents, my prediction for this fight, given everything I've seen with that Jack and Muhammad fight, all right, given how good Jack looked, how powerful he looked, I would definitely favor Islam Makhachev in a potential fight. There was a lot of moments, right? Okay, there's a lot of moments in that fight with Belal and Jack where, yeah, if you just look at the overall scheme, you look at the damage on people's faces, you would definitely say, oh, Jack was messing my boy up. Jack, he definitely hit harder. He had the more damaging punches. But if you guys forget, man, go back and watch that fight. And especially, I think, in like the 4th, 5th rounds when Belal knew he had to come forward, there was a lot of moments where Jack would have his back up against the fence. He would kind of like put a high guard and like dip forward. And Belal was just teeing off on this man. Jab, jab, elbow, jab, like hook. He's just teeing off on him. And then after he would stop with this combination, Jack would just circle out as if nothing happened. And he'd be hitting him with these elbows. And I'd be like, dude, I know he's going to be cut after this. No cut. Barely even bruising him up, like under his eye, under his right eye, there was a bruise. But like, dude, Jack was just getting lit up. All right, up against the fence, getting lit up. Unfortunately, Belal doesn't have the power, I guess, to knock this dude out. We know this. He doesn't just knock dudes out like that. But if he's having moments like that against Islam Makhachev, where he's got his back up against the fence, just covering up with his head down like that, Islam has a much higher fight IQ, in my opinion, and he's gonna make the right decisions there with strikes. I think he's got better ways of how he implements his wrestling, his takedowns, his trips. I think he's just gonna be overall better than what we saw from Belal Muhammad. I think his striking is going to be better. His grappling is going to be better. He's going to be better in every way. He's going to be much more powerful. All right. Jack was able to strike in a way where there wasn't as much consequence coming back at him as there will be when he fights Islam Makhachev. There will be much more consequence. I think Islam can knock Jack out. And he might. I think he'll be better at working the body. All right, we'll see Islam working the body if it needs to go that long. There was a lot of moments, man. Go back in there where Belal was hurting. Jack Della Maddalena. It didn't look like it if you look at their faces afterwards, right? Because every time Jack lands, there's like an exclamation mark. But when Belal was landing, it was kind of like an accumulation. And he was landing some good rights, but then Jack would just hit that man with some shit that you could just hear the reverb. It was like, holy. And then Belal would come out and his whole cheek is sliced up. Then he get hit with some stuff and it's like, oh man, his lip is split in like 3 different ways, 3 different directions. He was getting lit up in there. All right. I think Islam is going to make some better decisions, going to have better head movement, more powerful. I think Islam finishes Jack Della Maddalena and becomes new. But I think it's weird because there is that elephant in the room, which is the former champion Belal Muhammad. If he stays at welterweight, right, he's not gonna fight his friend who's now apparently gonna fight for the belt and potentially gonna be the champion. At that point, what do you do with Belal? You know what I'm saying? He did talk about potentially moving up to middleweight and fighting Dricus. I don't know if that's the best course of action, but he did mention it. But if he does choose to stay at welterweight, a fight that I would love to see for Belal Muhammad would be Belal Muhammad versus Colby Chaos Covington International Fight Week. Book it, unless that's too close. Yeah, that's like 2 months from now. And Belal, yeah, that's 2 months from now. So maybe, I don't know, maybe throw him on that Hamzat DDP card. That would be dope. I think that's like August, September, Hamzat DDP. Throw them on that card. Belal versus Kobe. That's the fight that people need to see, ladies and gents. That fight is gonna feed generations, ladies and gents. But let me know what you guys thought about that fight. What do you think about the new champion, Jack Della Maddalena? Do you think Islam Makhachev should be able to skip the line? Or do you think he should have to prove himself against a top welterweight contender? Do you think he should be able to hold up lightweight? He's not planning to give up his belt. He wants to hold up lightweight while he moves to welterweight. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but that is the case. That is the case. Let me know what you guys think about the potential moves here in the UFC. What would you guys like to see next for my boy Belal Muhammad? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys for being here once again, and I will see you guys when I see ya.
I'm more Francis Ngannou. I be the biggest problem out of any nigga I know. A little old school like some 45 vinyls. You niggas old duels, what that do to the wino? I do it the commercial way, pay without the splits.